If you have to unmute yourself, as just unmute yourself.
Stuart,
Yes.
I have a question, although it's somewhat difficult to articulate. Lately, I've been feeling in these classes and through my meditations an energy that wants to fill a vessel which is much bigger than my conception of myself. And so I was wondering if you had a comment on that. And I guess the question would be, how can we all go deeper and
Mm.
expansive than what we think is possible?
First thing you have to do, Tonya, and not only you, but all of us, is give up this conception of yourself. This is all I can do. I can't do any more. This is what I think of myself. This is my, we are connected, every one of us, to what energy that is infinite in the universe. How many times have I said this? And that connection enables us to incrementally go beyond ourselves, open to greater levels of knowledge, wisdom, teachings, Shakti, that we can absorb inside because through internal work, we build a chakra system that is capable of doing it. You understand? I mean, look, you do all this hiking and trekking and when you first started out, first year, could you trek half across the United States? You had to build up to it. You had to develop the stamina, the capacity to be able to do that. The same thing in business. When we start out, I mean, in my business, I started out selling wagon wheels for $10, rusty old wagon wheels from wagon trades for $10. I used to sell, and 10 years later, I'm selling art to the Metropolitan Museum, to the Guimet, to the British Museum. Well, between then and then, between A and B, there was 10 years of struggle, learning how to get bigger, how to develop myself in my business, spiritually, how to build a system inside that enabled me to do business on that level without it ever interfering with my spiritual life. That the two of them were not, you know, antagonistic to each other. They supported each other. All I had to do was get big enough to allow that to be possible.
Mhm.
And we all can do that. We have chakras, and we're connected to infinite energy through the chakra system, to energy that is, and it enables us to open to so many levels of creativity. I mean, along with running a business and teaching in ashrams all over the world and, running ashram, big ashram in the center of New York. It wasn't really an ashram. I mean, I wrote a dozen books. Well, where did I find the time to do it? I mean, the energy to do it, never mind the time. It came from growth, inner growth that enables that creativity to flow through. All right, I have a book I want to write. I got to get bigger to allow the energy to flow through and create the book. It's my responsibility. So this conception we have of ourselves, it's got to go. It has to go. It has to be surrendered. We have to let go of it. Take a chance. Let go of that safety zone and allow creative energy to flow through us and give us the capacity to do kind of amazing things in life that we never dreamt we could do. Now, this is totally dependent on each and every one of us. You know, it's not going to work if we take our spiritual practice for granted. It's not going to work if we take life for granted. It's not going to work if we take anything for granted. It only works because we are willing to apply ourselves in the moment to build a system that is strong enough to do what I'm talking about. And that means surrendering a lot of stuff. You got to let go of a lot of stuff. Mostly a conception that you have of yourself and what you're capable of doing. And this has nothing to do with IQ. It has nothing to do with how intelligent. It has to do with the inner work. I mean, I love that Japanese, in Japanese Zen, there were these two monks. Their job was to sweep, the zendo, the monastery. And they always paint them with brooms in their hands, sweeping, and when the abbot of the monastery died, all the great monks had to get together and find a new, head of the monastery. And the only people they could come up with were these two guys that were living totally in the present, sweeping the floors of the monastery. Everybody else was intelligent and had great wisdom. And these two guys were living totally in the moment, and they were living examples of Zen. They became head of the monastery. I mean, it's really the way life is. Living in the moment and not feeling that we are incompetent, that we are only capable of so much. Human beings, I mean, Shakespeare said, what a work of art is a human being. And it's really true. Human beings are remarkable, but human beings live with 3% of their consciousness. And therein lies the problem, because they don't work on themselves in enough depth to overcome this conception they have of who and what they are. And then they wallow in the conception, failure, blah, 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 I can't do it. I can't. I mean, Barack Obama became president telling the United States we can do it. We can. We can't say I can't. We can. And it's true. But he missed one point. People have to work on themselves to be able to develop consciousness and to be able to do it and to overcome this thing where they wallow in their insecurity, they wallow in their emotions. Every time some stupid thing happens in life, they freak out. They take it personally instead of saying, well, okay, look, I got to continue to grow. The world is a stupid movie. I can't allow it to disturb my inner growth and my capacity to connect with God. I mean, I hope it's clear what I'm talking about, because this is important stuff, and you don't sell yourself short. You really can do the work. And then we surprise ourselves at how amazing a human being is inside, how connected they are to energy that is literally infinite in the universe. And all that dams up that energy. Mind never shuts up. The emotions never shut up. Sexual energy drives us crazy. We are chaos because we don't do the work to quiet the chaos. Meditation is about quieting the chaos so that we can be nurtured by spirit, by energy that is infinite in the universe. And not knowing better, listening, learning. Don't be so important in your brain that you know better than everybody else. I mean it. Listen, learn from people. Let life be this amazing teacher that it is. Have some fun. I mean that. I'm not kidding. Have some fun. Laugh at yourself. Don't take everybody else's garbage seriously. I mean it. There's so much crap in this world. You can't take it seriously. Does anyone else have a question?
Stuart, I wanted to thank you so much for how you began the class talking about the loss of the Israeli woman, of her daughter, because I've had 3 deaths, including my new kitten, and one 2 hours before this class found out a friend acquaintance had been killed in a motorcycle accident, and I was so grieving that I didn't feel like I could even drag myself to class, and I did. And what you said, I can't even begin to tell you how much that meant to me.
Now,
Beautiful.
Christine, now you have to take the things I say deep inside yourself and stop allowing all this emotional stuff to chew it up. I really mean it. You have to start doing that. Otherwise, it's not going to work. You are responsible. I mean, I talk about these things, but you have to stop living in this emotional quagmire. You have to stop it, Christine. It's keeping you from truly having a spiritual life. Because every little thing that happens, I mean, Trump gets elected and you go mad. This happens and that happens. And, people, everything that happens affects you. And there's nothing you can do about these things except build a system that enables you to deal with all of this stuff quietly and maintain a connection with higher energy in the universe. Now you have to start doing that, Christine, because your emotions are like a swampland and they are chewing up all the potential that you have in yourself to grow. Because, yes, what I talked about before class was very profound. And it shook me up a little bit that I got an email like that somebody who's a wonderful person and, her daughter, 25-year-old daughter, friend of hers comes to her bedroom there and finds her dead, lying in bed. And the lesson for me is you don't know what's going to happen in 10 minutes. You don't know. So you have that 10 minutes to build in a life so that when these things do happen, you are strong enough inside to nurture people, to love people, have compassion for them, and not allow yourself to get swept away and all the emotions that take place when these things happen. But love, compassion, quiet, your own inner peace is essential to be able to do these things. So please, Christine, do it for me, okay? Emotions. The heart is a very important place. It needs to open. We need to be able to finally get to a state of ananda, a state of love inside ourselves. But if there's a swampland of emotions, we will never get there. Bring all the emotions down to the chakra below the navel. Bring all of that energy down. It will make you very strong. It will give you a spiritual life instead of taking over.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question? I mean, this is an incredible year with having to deal with people that have cancer, or people that have children die. I mean, it's been extraordinary. One shocking thing after another. And uh, I, the only way I can deal with it is I have to continue to build my system inside that enables me to deal with people's problems and people who are close to me and their problems and tensions, and not to blow them off, but to have the strength to live with compassion and with love.
Stuart, I have a question. Tom,
Yes,
um, I have one of my closest friends is dying, and do you sometimes feel illness in your own body when a close friend or family member is about to die in the
yeah,
months
yeah,
before that?
you can. Yeah.
I can't shake it, and so that illness, but I don't feel like it totally belongs to me.
Look, Tom, people that are close to you when they're dying, they reach out, they project their problems to you. And it gets back again. That's why we all have to get strong. I mean, one day I'm going to be dying, and and people that are close to me are going to feel that. Rudy, Bing, he was gone in 1 minute, but that 1 minute lasted a lifetime for many people because they weren't ready to deal with it. So you have to, it's again getting back to taking the responsibility to building an inner life and not have any expectations, because one day we all die. We all go for some reason or other. Everybody leaves the world. The soul leaves, and it reincarnates as another body and continues on its journey. But we need the strength to be able to deal with life moment to moment, because you don't know what's going to happen in 10 minutes. Keep repeating that, but it's true. And we all have people, how many people this year with cancer and the stuff I had to deal with this year, and people helping people get through impossible situations. Thank God, some of them, the cancer is in complete remission. They got through it. But having to deal with that without allowing it to, get into my emotions and my mind, but to just become a vehicle to transmit healing. Now, healing to a friend who's dying could be maybe the last 20 minutes of their life, their heart opens. There's love inside them, there's kindness inside them. Yeah.
It seems like the closer this man gets, the more the light comes through him, which is a good way to get old.
Right. Yeah, there's a great story written by Leo Tolstoy called The Death of Ivan Ilyich. I don't know how many of you read that story, but it's a man who's living a perfect life, perfect wife, perfect job, perfect house, perfect kids. Everything is perfect, perfect upper middle class living in Russian society. Except there's one thing wrong. He has a pain in his gut, and it doesn't go away. And by the end of the story, the pain completely takes over and takes him to the moments of his dying. And in the moments of his dying, where he surrenders everything and realizes he's been living in a total illusion, and the only perfection is his connection with God. It's an extraordinary story. He gave up everything. He finally, his wife, his perfect house, his perfect job, everything that was perfect. He just literally gave up. And all that was left was his connection with higher energy, God. And it was the only moment of his life he was ever happy. Finally, had realization. I mean, I saw that in my father, you know, the last 20 minutes of his life. I never saw him look so beautiful. Eyes were clear. The room was full of light. His eyes were clear. I mean, it was extraordinary. Finally, he had let go of everything. And it was just him in the presence of God, letting go. Changed my life. I was 16 years old, completely transformed my life. It was a messenger from God that totally transformed my life. He was my first great teacher, my father. I didn't even know he was my teacher. Does anyone else have a
Thank
question?
you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question? I remember I had a student who had AIDS, and he used to live up in, when I was living in Woodstock, he used to live up there. And he was in the hospital in Kingston, and I went to visit him, and he had this thing called Kaposi sarcoma, or something like that, which just scabs over his entire body. And he was lying in bed. He couldn't move. He couldn't do anything. And I was sitting with him and just doing a little meditation with him. And I said to him after the meditation, why don't you just let go? He said, why do you have to continue with all this suffering? You'll come back to the world as a beautiful baby, and everything you've learned about being with God, you will bring with you into your next lifetime. So what are you hanging on to? And he just shook his head. He said, yes. The next day he left. He went through a healing, an extraordinary healing, this guy. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Wow, this has become some kind of session. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you. And there will be meditation tomorrow evening. Looking forward to seeing everybody. And God bless you, and thank you for dragging all this stuff out of me. Because I'm telling you the truth, I listen also, you know? It's not me talking. This is a higher force that is talking and teaching not only you all, but me too. So God bless you all. Thank you. And we'll be class tomorrow. See you.
Right, Stuart, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stuart. Thanks, Stuart.
Good night.